Hey everyone, welcome back to another training week video. If you're new here, my name's Tim. I'm documenting my running journey here on YouTube, and I'm going to be releasing a video every week documenting my training up until the Edinburgh Marathon. We've got another marathon a bit earlier than that, but this is all geared towards Edinburgh and attacking that sub 3. So if that's something you're interested in, feel free to subscribe and come along the journey with us. And if you watched the first one, thank you. That video did pretty well, a lot better than I expected for long form content. So I'm really happy with that and I appreciate you checking it out and coming back for week 2. For this video, it's going to be a little bit different. I'm going to dive into the Garmin Connect browser and we're going to have a look at the workouts on that, just a little bit more data to look at and a bit more in-depth look at each session. And then the easier runs, the recovery runs, we'll just have a look at the Strava screenshot. It's been a pretty good week. I'm really happy with how it's going. So I'm looking forward to diving into some of the runs and having a look more in depth at how it went. And hopefully you guys have had a good week of training as well. But with that being said, let's jump into Garmin Connect and have a look. We're going to jump into the first session in the morning on the Monday, which was 3 times 9 minutes. And we'll have a look at kind of the splits here. I'll just highlight those. And the first block, my kind of max heart rate kind of got to 145, so not too hard. It's not really crazy hard for me to kind of hold these paces, and we averaged 4:04 per kilometer. And I was just trying to ease into the session and kind of get that kind of bank that bit of time at threshold. It is like an easier threshold for me, and I should be able to tick these sessions off and feel good for the afternoon session. And then moving on to the second rep, my max heart rate was 149 in that rep, and we averaged 357 per K. So starting to feel the legs a bit more, starting to actually get into the session and kind of hold a bit faster pace, which was nice. And then the third rep of 9 minutes was a maximum heart rate of 152, which is nice. That's kind of where I want it to be. It'd be nice to kind of get to that effort towards the end of each of these reps, but all in all, I'm happy with the effort that I'm putting in, and I'm just going to effort mainly for these. I kind of have a pace window that I want to start at, and then I kind of ease into the session, see what it's feeling like, and then just try and tick it off. They're all off of kind of a 1 minute jog recovery. That average pace works out to be about 5:16, but I'm probably going a little bit slower in the recovery than that, because by the time I've slowed down from going the 4 minute Ks, I've already done maybe 50 to 100 meters, maybe a bit less of running kind of a bit faster than that pace, and then the rest is a little bit of a jog. It's nice. I generally get the heart rate down into the mid 130s for these recoveries, so I'm ready to get going again for the next rep. And I forgot to say, for the third rep, I averaged 355 per kilometer, which is nice. That's kind of where I kind of feel comfortable doing these sessions. And the average for all of the 27 minutes was 359 per K. Also, my average heart rate for those reps was 143, and the max I got to was 152. So all in all, pretty controlled, and we're ready to kind of get into the evening session. But we'll have a quick look at kind of this heart rate throughout the session. It does slowly climb. There's some kind of peaks, which generally I don't do this on a super flat route, so there will be some incline there, and that is kind of where the heart rate does spike up a bit. But all in all, it's pretty controlled, and I'm really happy with ticking these sessions off the way I am. And I will say that all of these threshold sessions, I am using the Coros armband heart rate monitor, which it just holds a little bit more stable for me rather than using the wrist-based one. And because I do kind of focus on the heart rate a little bit more, I don't use it as a kind of a limiting factor. I'll still kind of go to effort, pace. I kind of use all the metrics to kind of judge my session, but having the heart rate monitor definitely is a little bit more reliable. So I do use that for all the sessions where I do want to know what the heart rate kind of gets to and how it's going. And then to finish the session, it was about 10.5K. The average pace for the whole session was 4:30 per kilometer, and it took about 47.5 minutes. So not too bad, not a crazy session to start off the day. And like I said, this one is just about getting it done and then trying to feel fresh for the next session as well, which was 6 times 1 kilometer with a 60-second jog recovery. I'm just highlighting each rep here. And these were kind of done a little bit harder effort, but the heart rate kind of comes out the same. Looking at the average pace for each rep, I did for the first rep 3:47, second 3:47, third 3:43, fourth 3:45, and then the fifth was a 3:41, and then the sixth was a 3:43, to average out at a 3:44 per kilometer. So pretty happy with that. That's a little bit slower than my 10K PB pace, so it kind of gives you an idea of the effort that I'm putting in for those reps. And the max heart rate I got to in the first rep, 146, second 149, third 150, 153, 154, 157. So you can see a gradual climb in effort as we're starting to fatigue through the reps and get a lot more at that kind of pace. But all in all, I'm pretty happy with how that session went. I believe it was quite wet and windy. It's been quite wet and windy all week here, so yeah, the sessions have been a little bit harder to kind of commit to when you wake up and you just see the rain pouring. I generally enjoy it when I'm out there, but it's just hard to motivate yourself to get out there. And my average heart rate for those reps combined was 145, and my max heart rate that I got to was that 157 in the last rep. So not too bad, and I'm pretty happy with all those efforts. And we'll just have a quick look at the heart rate graph to see that it does show kind of a steady increase in the effort through each rep. And my heart rate's kind of dropping to the mid-30s each recovery as well, which is nice because that shows kind of a decent aerobic base as well, being able to recover quite quickly while I'm still jogging, and a short recovery. Only a minute between these reps is, yeah, it's quite good to see, and I think I'm in a good place as well moving into my 10K race next weekend, so I'm looking forward to it. And this, quite similar to the morning session, was just over 10.5K, around it was 4:31 per K average, and just under 48 minutes. So they're very similar sessions in terms of duration and distance covered, and at similar pace. So yeah, I'm really happy with those. And then that kind of sets me up for a couple of recovery kind of days, and then we can move into the sessions on Thursday feeling fresh. And then on the Tuesday, I normally do an AM and a PM session, just chilled, kind of half-hour jogs. Looking at the morning session, I did just over 30 minutes at an average pace of 5:54, so it's super chilled, just a wee plod with an average heart rate of 110. So really nice and chilled, and kind of just getting the legs, active recovery, just getting the legs ticking over and kind of ready for my day of work, really. And then in the afternoon, I went to the gym with Jen, and I hopped on the treadmill for another 30 minutes and did at 5:27 pace, a little bit quicker with an average heart rate of 116. Same again, just kind of keeping the legs ticking over and getting some more mileage in. And those two were kind of a total of 10.6K, so bit over 5K for the morning, 5K for the evening. And then on Wednesday, I normally do a medium long run. So this one's just a little bit longer time on feet. And I did just over 12K in the hour and 4:58 per K pace. And kind of the average heart rate was 121. So once again, pretty easy. I'm not really focused too much on getting the heart rate up in those. Maybe later on I might turn that into a workout when we get more marathon specific. But at the moment, that is kind of just more easy running, just to get the mileage up and kind of get ready for those threshold sessions. And then in the evening, I went on the treadmill again and did 5.5K, just over half an hour at 5:27 pace, average heart rate of 112. So kind of that recovery session on the treadmill again. Onto the Thursday morning session, I do basically a block of thresholds. So this one is 26 minutes. I generally do the longer reps at an easier effort in the morning, and then later in the evening I'll do the kind of faster reps as well. So looking at this 26-minute block, I averaged 4:02 per K for the entire block, with an average heart rate of 146 and a max of that 155. Generally feel pretty good doing these. It's kind of trying to keep it between that 145 and 155. I like that effort for the longer blocks. And we ended up doing a total of 10K for the session, around that 430 average as well, 432 per K, and it took 45.5 minutes. And looking at the heart rate data, you can see it's not a smooth graph, but like I said earlier in the video, I do this on kind of undulating terrain, not like hilly, but there is some inclines and some declines. So you do see a slight kind of progression through the heart rate, and that's kind of what I want to see for this session. Not much to see, really, just the fact that I do a warm-up, get into a tempo block, which was 26 minutes, and then we kind of ease down for recovery. For the cool down, these cool downs, I used to be committed to 2 kilometers cool down, but recently, because I've been doing those 4 sessions, I've just decided, you know what, I don't have to do, nobody's making me do 2K, that is just all in my head, and I feel like I should be doing it. But if I don't have that much time in the morning and I need to get to work, I'm okay with doing 8-minute cool down, and my heart, as long as my heart rate's slowly coming back down and I'm starting to cool down, I'm fine with it. The rest of that is just trying to get some more mileage in if I'm trying to extend those cool downs. So I'm not really too bothered. Some of the cool downs are a lot shorter than they used to be, so my total mileage is actually not as high as it could be if I was trying to force myself to do those cooldowns, but I'm just doing what I feel is right on the day. Moving on to the Thursday afternoon session, it was 12 times 400 meters. I decided this one, if I was struggling, I was going to cap it at 10, and I'll let you know, at the start of this one, my legs weren't feeling good. So I don't know if it was because it was cold, it was wet, it was windy, it was just horrible conditions. So I really didn't want to do this workout, but we got out there in the end, and we actually, spoiler, we did make it to the 12th kind of 12 reps. And it kind of the second and third reps, my legs just felt kind of like, you know, when you sit funny and then you've got like that pins and needles feeling. I kind of felt that in my legs early on, and I was wondering if they were actually going to ease into it. And kind of later in the session, I started to feel a lot better, but this one was definitely a grind to get through. It being so windy, a lot of the heart rates and paces were kind of off because I was putting in a lot more effort into the wind to try and hit these paces. But because these aren't long efforts, they're like max 90 seconds, I'm quite happy putting in that effort into the wind, and you never know, towards the end of a race, you might need to push into wind. So I like doing that just to grind it out and get used to that kind of grinding to finish reps or finish a race. So it might help with that sprint finish later on. But looking at all these reps, for the first 400, I averaged 337, which was a bit quick, but my average heart rate was 120 because we've obviously only just started the reps and kind of went from a warm-up, which was kind of super easy, and then my max heart rate was 144, so it was starting to get up into that kind of threshold zone. My second 400, 344 per K, so a little bit easier, a bit slower than 10K pace, and I wanted to do that for like kind of half the reps to try and ease into the session, because yeah, like I said, I did feel pretty cooked on this one. Sorry, so that first rep was 127 seconds, then the second rep was 129.4, so almost 90 seconds. Then the next one was closer to 129, and then the fourth rep was 127 at 338 pace, and my heart rate's starting to get closer to that 150 range towards the end of these reps. Moving on to the fifth rep, which was 87 seconds, so that 338 pace again, and heart rate still climbing. Sixth rep was just over 128. Seventh rep, just over 128 again. So these are pretty consistent and the heart rates are staying pretty similar. And the eighth rep, starting to pick up the pace a little bit more. So 127, heart rates are very similar again, pace similar. Ninth rep, 120, closer to 128, and 339 per K. Heart rates not too bad. Maybe that one was downwind. I can't really remember which direction it was going. I think the last one was into the wind, so you can see that, but we did pick up the pace. And then those last few we finished with 127.5, 126, 125. So starting to pick up the pace towards the end and just get the session done. So the max heart rate there was 154. It's hit 155 somewhere. Maybe in that rep. But all in all, I'm pretty happy with how all those reps went and basically grinding through that session. And the average pace was 339 per K for all those reps, which is 1 second faster than my 10K PB pace. My average heart rate was 138 through all the reps, and max was 154. I don't know where this 155 number is coming from. Maybe after going into the cool down, my heart rate kept climbing. So 155 was probably my max heart rate through all those reps. We finished the session with just over 10K. The average pace was 445 and just under 48 minutes. And all of these were done with a 1 minute jog recovery a couple of times. Was that one up here? 1 minute and almost 3 seconds, so I do apologize for taking a bit longer than that, but sometimes I forget and kind of zone out. So we took almost an extra 3 seconds on that recovery. And looking at the heart rate graph, you can see kind of the peaks where each rep was, and yeah, it's pretty much how an interval kind of heart rate graph would look. But you can see on my recoveries, they are reasonably long for the 400s because I'm doing like less than 90 seconds work, but then I'm recovering for 60 seconds. So yeah, it's a fair bit of recovery. So I'm dropping down to like even into the 120s for the first few reps for the recovery, and then into the 130s. So my heart rate is dropping probably a bit more than you would want for these threshold sessions maybe. If you want to keep the heart rate higher for longer, you could shorten those. I was planning on shortening those to 50 seconds, maybe 45 or 40, just so the heart rate stays high for longer. But all in all, I am really happy with how these threshold sessions are going. So I'm just going to continue with it, and like I'm recovering really well. So yeah, we're just going to keep going and riding these threshold sessions for as long as we can, until we need to start focusing on the marathon long runs. On the Friday, I decided to kind of extend my recovery run to 45 minutes, and I did just over 7.5K, 45 minutes at a 5:54 average, so super slow, 111 beats per minute, so super easy. And yeah, one thing I'll say is, if you are too worried about your pace and what people are going to think when when they see your Strava and you've run 5:54 pace like what I just said, like, don't even worry about it. Their training is their training, your training is your training. But I think if you want to improve, you do need to polarize it where you've got those recovery days. Running the same pace every day kind of limits you, I believe, and that's why I'm taking those recovery days super easy so I can go harder on the hard days or get more volume of the harder days in. So don't even worry, I've held 340 pace for a 10k and I'm running 554 per k for a kind of a recovery run. So don't even worry too much about pace, just go to effort, just make sure it feels super easy on some days, and then you can go a bit harder on the next day, maybe alternate. But yeah, I do think it's beneficial to take those easy days super easy. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Don't even worry about what people are thinking on Strava, it's not that deep. On the Saturday, I did a little over a half marathon. I did 21.5k. I was going out anywhere between an hour 30 and 2 hours, just keeping it pretty easy because I do have that 10k race next week and you never know, that long run could affect it, but I'm just kind of easing into those long runs and focused on the threshold at the moment. So I did an hour and 44 and an average of 452 per k with 128 heart rate average, so not too hard, it wasn't super demanding, and yeah, I just wanted to get that kind of that long run in, a bit more extended aerobic kind of effort rather than doing like 40 odd minutes every so often, making sure I have that kind of 1 hour session and a closer to 2 hour session each week kind of will help transition into the marathon specific long runs and stuff when I get to them. So I do want to make sure I'm kind of sticking to those kind of times. And then today we finished off the week with 45 minutes again. I did the first half hour with Jen and then I did an extra 15 minutes after that. So we did just under 7.5k, average of 6:06 pace. So once again, super easy. I think with Jen, I did maybe an average of 6:15-ish. And then I picked it up to like 5:45s, or not much faster, but a little bit faster towards my kind of more chilled pace. And my average heart rate was 111 beats per minute. So not too bad to finish off the week. And now I can recover and get ready for my sessions tomorrow, starting off week 3. But to kind of cap off that week, we finished with 105.7 kilometers. So one of my biggest weeks since, God, a long time. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. It's only 5 odd K more than last week, but I feel fresh. Like the actual mileage doesn't feel like it's too hard. And we did run for 8 hours and almost 50 minutes. So I have increased the length of time that I am running each week, which I was generally doing about 7.5 hours last year, kind of towards the end of last year. So increasing the time has been good, but I don't know if that's going to come down when I'm doing kind of faster marathon sessions. But at the moment, it doesn't feel like too much of a toll on the body, and there is room for improvement or actually going further. But to be honest, I'm not too focused on the mileage. I'm just trying to get the sessions in, and then the mileage will follow. But yeah, 105k for the week and 8 hours and 50 minutes and feeling the way I am. Yeah, I'm super happy with that, and the sessions are going well, even though some of them I'm struggling to kind of motivate myself to get out there. We're still getting out there and we're still seeing good numbers from the sessions as well. So I'm looking forward to testing myself on Sunday. Next Sunday, we've got the cross-border 10K. I've got my number here, which is, funnily enough, which I was looking at this the other day and I was like, hang on a sec. This is my 10K PB in 5K splits. So my 10K PB is 36:44, 18:22, 18:22, 36:44. And for that one, for my 10K PB, I actually ran that super evenly as well. I think my 5K splits on my watch were 18:18 and then 18:18, which is 36:36, but then there was a little bit extra distance you run, or your watch thinks you've ran the extra distance. So I finished with the 36:44. I think I got all those numbers right. There's a lot of numbers, but yeah, so yeah, to see that number is quite funny. I think for this race, we'll go over in my intro for the vlog. I think we can target that sub 37 again, but yeah, we don't know. We're just going to have to see what happens on the day. It could be into the wind for the whole 10K because it is pretty much a straight route. Hopefully it's downwind, but yeah, you just don't know. So we'll go over that when I do the vlog. So next week there will be the race vlog and there'll be a weekly recap as well. So I'll try and do one or the other. They'll get released during the week. I'm not sure which one I'm going to post first, but yeah, there will be a video. Hopefully the 2 videos. I'm going to try and make sure I get them done. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this kind of different video. Let me know if you would rather me go over them on the Garmin Connect browser, just so you can see a few more stats. Even if I'm not talking about it, you can kind of pause it and have a look at them. You might want to let me know things that I should be going over, and we can go over them in the next video. We've got a lot of training weeks to go over, so we're just gonna, yeah, we'll probably get better at doing them as we go. But I do appreciate that you've stayed here until this point in the video. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so. We're hopefully gonna get, the goal is to get to 2K by the end of Edinburgh Marathon video. So if we can do that, that would be just the dream. So 2K subs, it's about 250 more, about that. So if we can do that in the next 3 months, that would be just, yeah, that would be just great. And I just enjoy posting the content anyway, but it's nice to have those wee goals with the channel as well. So if you did get to this point in the video, yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video.